At this time, I would like to call the March 1st, 2022 Stanley County Board of Education meeting to order. Welcome to all of you that are in attendance and to those that may be joining us via live stream. We appreciate that you are here. At this time, I would like to call on Dr. Rufus Leffler for our invocation and our pledge to the flag.
If everyone would please bow their head. God of mercy, we pray for Ukraine, for all humanity distorted by war, for all the lives lost, homes seized, and peace broken. May the spirit of comfort and compassion envelop all who dwell in fear. May the spirit of wisdom and humility enliven our global leaders. May we affirm the dignity and rights of all. May we seek peace. Amen. If you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Dr. Leffler. Board members, at this time, I would like to entertain a motion to go into closed session for personnel matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A6, student matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A1, attorney-client matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3, acquisition of real property, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.005. May I have a motion to go into closed session?
Make a motion we go into closed session.
A motion by Ms. Poplin, a second. Second by Ms. Watson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The board is in closed session. Thank you. I would like to call the board back into open session at this time. Once again, welcome to all that are in attendance, to those that may be viewing us via live stream. At this time, Dr. Dennis, I believe next on our agenda is recognitions.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. We have several recognitions tonight. We have some students and we have some teachers. I'm going to start out first with the Charlotte Observer Athlete of the Week, Amari Baldwin. Is Amari here? There, come on up, come on up. So, Amari, let me get this right. So you're on the basketball team, Albemarle High School. And I've heard you're a phenomenal athlete, and you had a lot of competition, especially from some athletes at larger schools and larger school systems. And you come out in the end being the Charlotte Observer Athlete of the Week, and we're extremely, extremely excited for you, and also very proud of you and everything you accomplished. What grade are you in? Freshman. Outstanding. That is outstanding. You got mom and dad here? Yeah. You want to come take a picture? Come on, Coach. Y'all get a picture.
We're good?
I got your hands. All right, 1, 2, 3. Take one more. 1, 2, 3.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, the next student athlete I would like to call on is Ranfrey Garcia. Mr. Garcia is a state champion wrestler. Was it 140 pounds?
145.
Oh, that was close. And was the East Regional Most Outstanding Wrestler from South Stanley High School. What grade are you in?
I'm a junior.
Oh, so you got another year to win another one, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations. And last but not least, we have our state champion indoor for track, and that is James Shue. James. Now, James, you represent West Stanley High School. What grade are you in?
Senior.
Senior. And where are you going to run after you leave West Stanley High School?
Catawba.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah, come on up. Yeah, come on. All right. Again, congratulations to all our student athletes and all of their accomplishments this year. Next, I want to call up the VFW K-5 State Teacher of the Year. That's Keely Town. Miss Town. Now, Miss Town, I guess you went through New London, the Air Guard out there. Is that who wrote you?
Yes.
Explain the process a little bit.
So I was nominated for the award and from Mr. Rhodes and our guidance counselor. And then they had Jacqueline Plumley, who's at the Guard, write a letter of nomination because she's been involved in the activities that I do at Baden. And then, so I won the district level for Stanley County, and then regional, and then the state.
That's awesome. I know when all of a sudden I didn't know the process was going on. I get this email and they're like, Keely Town is one of the VFW K-5 Teacher of the Year. That's outstanding. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, and finally, our NCAT 2020 Prudential NC Beginning Teacher of the Year finalist, Casey Thompson. Casey, congratulations. I know you were our, of course, Beginning Teacher of the Year, and I know this was a long process, and a lot went on at NCAT. I hate I could not make the finals when you guys were announced, but that's a huge accomplishment. 115 systems in the state of North Carolina, and you're the top 10 teachers. And tell everybody what you teach.
So I teach agriculture at South Stanley High School, so animal science, horticulture, ag mechanics, intro to ag, a little bit of everything dealing with agriculture.
I've heard nothing but great things. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Let's just do it together.
We got this. Hey, where does Mom fit in this?
Yeah.
Where's Mom? Thank you.
Board members, while Dr. Dennis is making his way back up here, I know we certainly want to clap, stand up and clap for all of you, but first, I would like for every principal of these young athletes that's here, would you please stand? Thank you. Every coach of these athletes, would you please stand? And then those wonderful athletes, please stand. Thank you. And our two outstanding teachers, please stand. And now will all of you stand up, please, because we want to applaud all of you. Thank you so very much. You make us so proud. It was fun watching from ball games to yelling at the referees. Coach Eric Davis, we did our share. I think we helped change some of those outcomes by our yelling. Ranfree, do you remember Miss Poplin and myself? We saw him at Jalapenos, and all of a sudden, it was just like, we know who he is. And we looked at each other and said, we gotta have a picture with this celebrity. He's a celebrity. So anyway, thank you all so much. At this time, normally we would be possibly having public comments, but there's no one signed up for public comments tonight. So therefore, we are going to our consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, I'm going to ask for approval of the February 1st, 2022 work session minutes, the February 1st, 2022 regular scheduled minutes, and then our February 11th, 2022 emergency call minutes. Meeting. Now, we are going to tie back into this under the consent agenda, our mask mandate, but I have asked Dr. Dennis to give us a little update on some things.
Excuse me. The one real update is the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, announced Friday that effective immediately masks are no longer required on buses or vans operated by public or private school systems, including early care and educational child programs. Of course, there's a lot more to this, but that's the gist of the whole memo in case anyone has any questions. So that's really the only update I have at this time.
Okay. Therefore, board members, could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which means we are certainly keeping our mask mandate optional?
Make a motion.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Graves. Do I have a second?
Second, and that does include.
That does include bus transportation.
Yes.
Okay, second by Ms. Poplin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. I do not think there's any discussion, so the ayes have it. That's definitely approved. Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Dennis. The next on your agenda, board members, if you remember, at our last meeting, I had asked Dr. Dennis to prepare for us a calendar resolution where we knew we needed to enter school at an earlier date. This was a part of trying to help with lost learning. And I guess I just want people to realize that that resolution is more to me than just a sheet of paper. Now, for those in Raleigh, it might not mean more than a sheet of paper. I don't know. But therefore, to follow up with that, I have asked Dr. Dennis to create a type of draft calendar of what an early calendar would look like. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Dr. Dennis.
Yes, so we created a draft calendar. Again, this is just to give you a visual what an earlier start calendar would look like if we were to start and try to end the first semester before the winter holiday. So essentially, your work days for your teachers would start at the beginning of that, during that middle of that first week of August, and your first day of school would occur somewhere within the 10th or in that next week frame, depending on how many work days you wanted to build in and how close you wanted to end till Christmas. And so with this particular one having us end on the 20th, so all testing, everything would be done by the 20th, and the 21st be a professional day. And as far as when you would come back to school, we would have, it kind of looks the same. The second would be a holiday since the first is on a Sunday. Then we would have another vacation day on the 3rd, and then professional days. And it kind of ramps the teachers back up into getting back into the next semester. This mainly for your secondary teachers. But it makes everything in a nice little neat package. And May 24th, you'll see actually everything ends, and students, especially high school students, they will be done with graduation before the end of May. Have that done before Memorial Day. And so I know we operated on a calendar similar to this not too long ago, but if we were to operate on an earlier calendar, again, this is just a copy. It's nothing in stone, nothing to be printed saying this is what we're going to do. It just gives you a visual, because we could still do some different things underneath here to make it look a little different.
So here's what I would like to bring to you, board members. I know that there's some surrounding counties that they are going to be drafting an early start calendar. Again, what our state legislature does with that, I don't know. But I'm hoping that if we get a good number of surrounding counties that are saying, we did a resolution, and now we're going to follow it up with an early start calendar, then that ball's in your court to the legislature, because we're trying to address learning loss in our county. And we're trying to do the best that we can by our students. So here's what I would like to have from you, board members. If you like this calendar, or if you like the things about this calendar, I would like to have a motion that we give Dr. Dennis the approval, the direction, so that he can meet back with his calendar committee, because I know it goes through a process, correct, Dr. Dennis? And for them to have time to bring to us at our next board meeting an early start calendar that we will take action on.
I'll make a, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I would like to make the motion that we move forward with this calendar, because we need to do what's best for our students, for learning loss, and get these exams finished up before Christmas so that we can combat the issues we've had post-COVID.
I'll second.
Okay, so we've had a motion by Ms. Poplin, a second by Mr. Graves, and what we're doing is giving Dr. Dennis the go-ahead and the calendar committee to bring back to us the calendar that we will vote on in our April meeting, and it will be an early start calendar. Okay, we've had a motion, we've had a second. Any discussion from board members?
I would like to make one comment. For the people that have just been starting to follow what's happening in Stanley County schools, this is a massive issue. I know we'll talk about it when we get more information on the proposed early schedule next month. But this is a massive problem, and I would just encourage everyone, once the new schedule could probably be approved by the school board, is to contact your representatives, your state representatives, and get them to move on this. This impacts every single student in Stanley County schools. Every single student. It's been a major problem for the state of North Carolina for I don't know how long, as long as I've been following the school system, 8, 10, 12 years. And this is one thing that we can do that would impact every single student in a positive way in Stanley County schools. So we're going to need the public's help, not only from Stanley County, but your friends in other counties that are going to try to do this too, to reach out to your elected officials and get them to support us. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. Anyone else that has a comment to make? Okay, thank you, board members. Dr. Dennis, we've given you and the calendar committee a go-ahead. All in favor? Say aye. Opposed? No. It passes. Next on the agenda are committee reports. Facilities, Dr. Rufus Leffler.
Mr. Todd Bowers, who's over our facilities and our maintenance, he's the man that keeps the buildings open and running and heated and cold, and he gets 1 or 2 calls every day about it. But he does a great job, him and his staff, and we appreciate him.
Thank you. I
And he's going
appreciate
to give us
that
an
very
update on our facilities.
What we're coming to you tonight about is, most of you know that the state this year and next year has set aside some large sums of money in the needs-based public school grant fund. It's $380 million, if I'm correct. My memory serves me right. And what it is, it's matching, and it's matched based on the wealth of the county, so to speak. And what we have to match, if we get the grant, is we only have to match 5%. So it's a very low number for us. So we're going after, some money pretty hard. Now, I realize we're going to put in for 4 grants. I realize we won't get them all. There's no way we'll get all 4 of them unless everybody else is asleep at the wheel and we're the only ones that apply for this money. But we're going to be going after additions that remove mobiles on our facilities. As you know, we cannot secure mobiles. They're not safe in today's environment. And so we're going to try to get additions in places where we have mobiles on campus today. And we're going to look at some renovations. We're going to start try to renovate a high school. And then next year, we know the money will be here for 2 years. And so we're trying to get a plan together of what to do this year and then what we might look going forward. But, I guess tonight we need you to approve the fact of what we're going to be applying for. And that is, like I say, additions at 3 schools we have mobiles at, to remove those mobiles, and then a renovation at one of our high schools. Any questions? It'll be, they'll tell us if we got any in April. We had to have the applications in by March 15th. They will tell you if you're awarded anything in April. And there's no time limit as far as, we have to, in the application, we have to sort of show how we think the money will be spent along the years. But, we can take 3 or 4 years to complete it. On a renovation, obviously, you're not going to complete that in a year. You'll do different areas. It'll probably take 3 years to do a renovation. But the additions, we'll try to start moving on pretty quickly.
And the constraints with this money is it's used for either new construction or upgrade.
Yeah, additions and renovations. You can go for other things, but if you look in the rubric as far as how they're going to weight it, additions and renovations is where you need to be.
And while $380 million seems a lot of money, if you're spreading it out across counties, it can go pretty quick.
It'll go, yeah.
If they, like you said, if they're not asleep at the wheel.
No, if everybody else is not, and from what I gather, they're not. And talking with the engineers and architects, everybody else is scrambling themselves. But I hope we will get some. I know we won't get all. But like when I send out my capital request to the schools, if you don't ask for it, you won't get it. So let's ask.
And you have to have this in.
March 15th. I have to have it to
This
them.
was a short.
It was very short, and so that's, we had to move very quickly. We didn't find out about it, obviously, till, mid-January or so, maybe actually late January. It was a very short period of time that we had to come up with a plan to go after these funds. And the architect's supposed to get with me this week to give me the data I need to fill out the application, so we'll have ours submitted on time, there's no doubt.
So once we can give you approval to move forward with this, once you continue to work on things you will continue to bring back to us.
Yes, ma'am. Where we're at, I'll let you know, it'll be April meeting before I know, maybe
Even if we get
May
it.
the meeting before I actually know whether we received
We
any
get the grant.
grant, if we got any funds. But like I said, with a 5% match, you can get a lot of money and we don't have to put up a lot of money. And like I said, we know this money's here for 2 years. We don't know going forward, but, we know we've got it for 2 years, that we can apply for these funds.
What is the,
Does somebody want to make a motion?
what is the board, what is the pleasure of the board with this now?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and give Mr. Bowers the authority to apply for these grants.
Okay.
I think they're due before March 15th.
Okay, so Mr. Lisk is given the authority for Mr. Bowers to move forward with these grants.
I second the motion to move forward with the grants to renovate a high school and get rid
Okay.
of the mobile units.
All right, a second by Ms. Poplin. Any discussion at this time, board members? I really appreciate you going after these grants.
I feel comfortable we'll get something, but
I hope we get them all.
I do too. I do too.
I
But
Yes,
you don't know if
Okay.
you don't ask, so we're going to ask.
yes, okay.
And I just want to say that, going and seeing the challenges of teachers going to and from the mobiles and how difficult some of that can be, I really hope that we do come out on the upper end of this.
I do
and
too.
can get rid of as many of those as possible.
I do too.
We've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Okay, this passes
Thank you very
unanimously.
much.
Thank you, Mr. Bowers. Thank you for your hard work with this, and we look forward to you keeping us up to date on everything.
All right,
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Amy Blake Lewis. Oh, committee, I'm sorry. I tell you, I'm just not with it. That had me so excited with getting grants money. Gosh. Okay, fine. Yeah, I know. Okay, finance. Mr. Liz.
Thank you, Madam Chair, or Lorax, as you were this week. We don't have much out of here. I think Mr. Dudney's going to present the auditor contract renewal. He can discuss that, and you can field any questions to him. But as to my knowledge, there is no increase in that cost. The second item that I had was regarding low wealth funding. There was some funding available from the state that would only go towards 52 teachers at $1,000 each, and we decided not to participate in that this year because it would not bonus everyone. It would not be applicable for everyone, and we will look at that again next year. But instead, we've decided to reallocate that possible $52,000 that would have come out of county funds towards bringing our classified pay scale up to par. Mr. Dudney and his office have been working very diligently to fix that for many years back. And these folks go to $15 an hour starting in the next fiscal year. So we do want to retro that back, and we will reallocate those funds there. The committee does recommend to the board, to the full board, not to participate in this low wealth funding incentive program for the 21-22 school year. So we will need to take a vote on that.
So you're going to need a motion that we do not take a part in this year on this low wealth fund.
That is correct. It was only going to affect help a small number of people.
Okay.
We're looking to reallocate that to help.
To the classified.
To the classified.
Okay. So board members, you have heard that. Then coming out of the committee, could I have a motion that we will not take part then in that low wealth fund for this year?
I make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Graves, second.
I second we decline the funding this year.
Okay, a second by Mr. Sorensen. Any discussion?
I'd like to add a little bit more information and context to this so everybody understands. One of the things that the board has talked about, particularly on the finance committee, but this has been some guidance that the chairman, Glenda Gibson, has given us, is that whenever we are evaluating decisions that involve money and staffing, we want to look at taking decisions that will impact the broadest number of people. We think it's fair. So, for example, the bus drivers, our child nutrition workers. Everybody's working equally hard. Everybody has worked above and beyond, and we just don't feel it's right to only take a subset of a particular group and award that subset. And so what we're trying to do, and as Mr. Lisk, Member Lisk mentioned, is we're going to take the money that would have been earmarked. We're going to allocate that money. We'll reallocate it across the board. And Mr. Dunny, you're going to make a presentation on that at some point, right? About the reallocations and the different levels that you're putting in place. Is that correct?
I am in the process of creating that pay scale that would
Right, the new pay scale.
have that for our classified staff. But this grant is, or this funding that Mr. Lisk is talking about, did have a one-to-one match. So, with the 52 individuals, there would have been, with $1,000 supplement, that would have been $52,000 of local dollars that we would have to allocate along with that supplement.
Exactly. So, correct. Yeah. It's not that we're passing up free money. It's that we would have had to match it. So we chose to take the amount of money that we would have had to use to match it and then spread it across the classified staff, which I think is the right decision and the fair decision.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Okay, we've had a motion, we've had a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, this motion carries. Instructional program, Mr. Bill Sorensen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We met on the 8th of the month. Two items went through the agenda. We previewed the Cognita accreditation process. Thankfully, Dr. Blake Lewis is on top of that and helped us figure out what we're supposed to do there. And we also opened up some discussion on ways to recognize our staff, our instructional staff, that are meeting and exceeding growth, which is it's the metric that I believe really matters. So the county office folks are working on a way to recognize those teachers that are going above and beyond and getting our growth scores up. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So you don't have anything that you're bringing to vote on, you're just giving us an update. Okay, thank you. Marketing, community engagement, safety, Mr. Anthony Graves.
Thank you. So yesterday we had at 3:30 our inaugural meeting of this new committee that Chairman Gibson came up with at the start of the new year for us here on the board. And the agenda was that we first met and we talked about what some of the other committee members, what their expectations are. Vice Chair Carla Poplin, along with Member Vicki Watson, are the two other members on the committee, and Chairman Gibson sat in on the meeting as well. We had a fantastic meeting. I set out that the objective for this committee is to make sure that we improve communication between the school board and the community, between the school board and the administration, between the administration and the schools administration, all the way down to the teachers. I have been, we've had a lot of issues that we've had to deal with. I call them unforced errors in the community over the past couple of years. And to basically explain what I'm talking about generically is that we have a fantastic and incredibly hardworking staff at the central office. And a lot of the times we have a communication breakdown that doesn't get out to the people out in the schools. And consequently, that can manifest itself in matters being handled differently between schools, even between grade levels within a school. And when you combine the fact that you can have a turnover through attrition, through promotion in the administration at the school level, it becomes an increasing challenge to make sure that everyone is staying up to date and current. And so we don't want to see all the hard work not make its way out into the field, because it has a direct impact on the students. It also has an impact on their families as well. So everybody was in a unanimous agreement that that should be an overarching objective for the committee. And also, we also discussed safety, because that's part of the committee's mandate, is to not only make sure we improve community engagement through communication, we want to let everybody know out in the community all of the successes that we're seeing within the schools, and do that efficiently and effectively. We're not trying to create more work for people, but we know we can do a better job, because everybody always hears when there's a problem, but they rarely hear when there's a success. And so we want to flip that upside down. And when I mentioned safety, a couple years ago when we voted on the quarter-cent sales tax, as most people know, that was pitched to the community, and the community voted that quarter-cent sales tax in because that money was supposed to be specifically earmarked. I'm not saying on the ballot it said this, but this is what was communicated to the public, that money was going to be earmarked for public safety initiatives, and there were actually little cards handed out. And for those of you that were paying attention a couple years ago, when you went to the polling places, most of the polling places had a little card that had the specific items that were going to be purchased at the schools, whether it be a high school, middle school, elementary school, or a combination thereof, that were going to be purchased, from vestibules to camera systems to the watchdog system and all that stuff. There's still a lot of work to do, even though we have accomplished a lot. And we have a fantastic safety and security director in Jennifer Flo. So she presented to the committee just a quick overview. We had to stop her because there were so many things. We ran out of time, and we had gone over time that she's working on. She is going to present before the board in the future, probably in about 2 months, an overview of what she does, which is amazing. It's going to be an eye-opener for a lot of folks in the public. And also we had Ms. Melissa Smith, who is the director over community engagement and dropout prevention, who was kind enough to slip in the back door about 2 minutes ago. She thinks I didn't see her. But I'm glad you were here. I was going to give you a hard time. But so she presented what she has a new department. And this year they're really going through a process of determining how we can increase dropout, or improve dropout prevention. And for those of you that know Melissa Smith, she has an incredible love for students. And so we're trying to take all of that passion and love and get her closer to the students, and also working with families sometimes that don't have the best experiences with the school system. Maybe it's disciplinary issues and things like that. And so she's also serving as sort of a liaison and a moderator and an assistant to help people through those. And sometimes, it could be the best student and they just have a bad day. And the families never had to deal with the disciplinary issue in the process. So she's also trying to come up with ways to communicate these processes to the community so it's not a surprise. Because a lot of time and effort goes into, for example, with Vice Chair Poplin and the policy committee, to making sure that the policies make it easier for families of students within the school system to engage with the central office, not harder. So, so she has a whole lot on her plate, and I want to thank them for the updates that they gave all of us. And so stay tuned to the calendar. We'll probably have a couple meetings per month, at least in the first few months, until we get everything settled. But that's my update. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. Personnel, Ms. Vicki Watson.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. We met on February the 11th. We went over a North Carolina teacher working conditions survey that's going out to our teachers and administrators. She showed us one that we had 2 years ago. This goes out every 2 years. We also had some personnel matters that we discussed. So other than that, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think we talked earlier, that teacher survey already been? That's the first day. And last, but not least, policy, Ms. Carla Poplin.
All right. You guys bear with me. I've got a really long list tonight. So we have up first a list of policies for final approval. New policy 6000, support services. New policy 6200, goals of school nutrition services. Policy 6210, organization of school nutrition services. 6220, operation of school nutrition services. 6220-R, performance-based child nutrition incentive. 6225, free and reduced price meal services. 6230, school meal and competitive food standards. 6300, goals of student transportation services. 6305, safety and student transportation services. New policy 6306, school bus idling. New policy 6306-R, school bus idling procedures. 6310, organization of student transportation services. 6315, drivers. 6320, use of student transportation services. 6321, bus routes. 6322, student assignment to buses. 6325, parking areas for students. New policy 6330, insurance for student transportation services. 6340, transportation service vehicle contracts. 6500, goals of equipment. 6510, organization of equipment, materials, supplies, services. 6520, use of equipment, materials, and supplies. 6521, personal use of equipment, materials, and supplies. 6522, use of equipment, materials, and supplies by non-school groups. 6524, network security. New policy 6525, instructional materials services. New policy 6530, resource conservation. 6540, hazardous materials. 6550, vandalism, and 5210, distribution and display of non-school materials. And I do need a motion to approve on those because they were for final approval tonight.
Okay, the ones that Ms. Poplin just called out to you are for final approval. So can I have a motion, please, to approve these policies?
I make a motion that we approve the policies.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Leffler, a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Graves and Ms. Watson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. Okay, these policies are approved.
Okay, I have a list to be rescinded. I won't need a vote on this. I'm just going to read these out. Policy 2020-C, organization of equipment, materials, service. 2070, use of school services equipment. 4040, student transportation. 4045, automobile use. 4065, code of student conduct for Stanley County Schools. 4105, student aid programs. 5220, safety. 6005, duties of child nutrition service director. 6010, free and reduced price meal services. 6015, operation of child nutrition service program. 6015-A, competitive food sales. 6020, child nutrition services program. 6100, transportation. 6105, duties of transportation director. 6110, duties of principals in transportation program. 6115, duties and responsibilities of school bus drivers. 6120, duties and responsibilities of bus monitors. 6125, school bus passengers. 6130, bus maintenance. 6135, contract transportation. 6145, activity buses. 6150, damage to school buses. 6155, traffic and parking on school system property. 6305, vandalism and theft. 7300, receiving and inspecting. And 8005, network security. So those are to be rescinded. And then I have...
Okay, we do not have to vote on that.
No, those are just ones that have been updated with new, and so those are gone. And I have a list tonight to be tabled for 30 days that I will need a motion to table when I finish this. And I would just like to say I appreciate my new policy members on my committee. This batch has broken them in very, very well. So this is a long one. So thank you. Policy 6100, goals of student health services. New policy 6110, organization of student health services. 6120, student health services. 6125, administering medicine to students. 6140, student wellness. 6400, goals of the purchasing function. 6401/9100, ethics and purchasing function. New policy 6402, participation by historically underutilized business. 6410, organization of the purchasing function. 6420, contracts with the board. 6421, pre-audit certification. New policy 6425, continuing contracts. 6430, purchasing requirements for equipment, materials, and supplies. 6441/9121, bidders list. 6442, vendors list. New policy 6450, purchase of services. Policy 6560, disposal of surplus property. 2300, board meetings, and 2330, board meeting agenda. So I do need a motion to table these for 30 days.
Okay, board members, Ms. Poplin's called these policies out to you. They are to be tabled for 30 days for you to look over more. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion that we table the policies for 30 days, please.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Graves, a second. Second by Mr. Sorensen. Any discussion? Yes.
I just want to say thank you, just that she's kept us straight on that committee, and the amount of work she's put into this is pretty unanimous.
Yes, I agree. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Okay, this is carried. Next on the agenda, you didn't leave me, did you? Okay. Is Dr. Amy Blake Lewis.
Good evening, everyone. I do have one item that needs your approval this evening. At this time, I would ask Mr. Tim Hatley, our Director of Testing and Accountability, to join me and present this information to you.
Good evening. We come before you this evening to ask for your approval for our 21-22 summer testing program. We have participated in this program in the past. It was 18-19 school year. The board approved a plan. We initiated and pulled that off. We actually had the board approved for the 19-20 testing year, but of course COVID hit and we did not test. We did not pursue this program last year as we were more interested in just trying to get everyone tested at the end of the year with the multiple schedules and everything going on. This program basically is not a retesting of everyone program. This occurs after the normal instructational year. There's basically three options: a credit recovery for EOC courses, a complete retaking of the course for credit, or the third option is seeking those students that passed the course but did not have a proficient score on the corresponding EOC or EOG. That third option is what we're asking for because this has to be implemented before the end of June. There are a couple of qualifiers here. It cannot occur during a normal instructional year for students, so it has to take place after the last day for students. It's completely voluntary. Parents can agree to participate or not. The testing has to be online. And there's a remediation piece attached as well. You cannot just come and retest. You have to participate in the remediation to take a part of the testing. What we're asking tonight, the plan for all of our schools with the exclusion of the two early colleges, is that, and this would cover third grade math. Third grade reading is exempted because of the Read to Achieve initiative, but it would include 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade reading and math, 5th and 8th grade science, and then all four of the high school EOCs, Math 1, Math 3, Biology, and English 2. And what we would like to do is have 3 instructional days of 4 hours each, running Monday, June the 13th through Wednesday, June 15th, and then have a retest day on Thursday, June 16th. That is for all of our traditional schools, excluding early colleges. Since early colleges is on a different schedule, what we'd like to do is have 3 4-hour instructional days for those students, Wednesday, May 25th through Friday, May 27th, and then we would test that next Tuesday, May 31st, because Monday is a holiday. And what we're asking Tonight is just for your approval of this plan so we can submit it to the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction by April 1st.
Okay, board members, you have heard from Mr. Tim Hatley as he's gone over the summer testing program, how that will work, who it will work for. I just need a motion to approve this.
I make a motion, we approve this testing program.
I have a motion by Dr. Rufus Leffler, a second.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mr. Lisk. Any discussion?
I have a quick question. This is great. Last year we had excellent outcomes from this program. Do you recall, either one of you, what the numbers were, or an approximate?
From 18-19? Yes, sir.
That would have been the last year we did it. Last
Yeah,
year
yeah,
we did
yeah.
not, but yes.
Right.
We tested 901 students. Out of those, 281 obtained a proficient score that had not had one previously. So that means of those tested, 31.1% became proficient. So we had a huge turnaround through this program.
What are you doing in those 4 days that hadn't happened during the year? I mean, how did you have such a dramatic increase? I mean,
So
what is different?
it's intended to be an intensive remediation period. So for example, if a student is testing 5th or 8th grade science, it's an intensive 3 days of really focusing just on that content, specifically to vocabulary and maybe processes that need to be shored up for those students, and that equates to some high yields. I mean, as Mr. Hatley said, we were able to add 31% more proficient scores after having done this.
So I think what you're saying is some of these students barely miss proficiency, maybe
Correct.
by a little bit, and then this 3 days helps them get over that hurdle to be able to accomplish.
Yes, ma'am, that is a
The credit or
wonderful
whatever.
interpretation.
Okay.
Yes.
Your participation, did I hear you say something like 33% or something with?
That's the proficiency. It was
Okay.
900 students who participated.
Okay, out of those 900, did they all pass?
No, that was the 30%.
That's the 30%?
30% of those were able
Then
to
what
make a passing
happens?
score.
What happens after that to those 30?
Well, to participate in the program, you have to have passed the course or grade level and just not have had the non-proficient score on the
Right.
test. This really isn't designed to help pass the course. This is just for those students, as Ms. Poplin pointed out, that we like to say everyone's proficient as they move up to the next grade level. This is just intended as a remediation to bring those students up to proficiency, basically to prepare them for that next year. So it's not really designed as to catch those
Okay,
that were significantly behind.
okay. All right, any other questions, board members? Okay, we've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you so much this evening, and I do want to thank the board for your participation earlier as we continue to prep for our accreditation visit. That, of course, is coming up very quickly, so again, if you have any questions to follow up on that work session, please let me know.
Thank you, Dr. Amy Blake Lewis. We enjoyed your presentation. Next on the agenda is the auxiliary services, Mr. Terry Dudney.
Okay, in your packet, you should have a copy of the audit contract for the 21-22 school year. As Mr. Liz said earlier, this is at the same rate that we had the previous year. The total amount for the contract would be $38,000 with almost $33,500. I'll say it just right, not almost. $33,500 being the max that they'll charge for actually doing the audit processes, and then the $4,500 for doing the write-up of the audit report, as well as the GFO and the Excellence Award that we apply for every year as well.
You need action on this for us to approve the audit
Yes, ma'am.
contract.
Yes, ma'am. And for your signature as the chairman is on page 8 I'm sorry. Yes, page 8 of the contract.
I make a motion that we renew the contract with the auditor as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Graves. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Watson. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. Okay, this passes. Thank you. I think you have something else.
Yes, ma'am. It was brought back at our work session back in January concerning the E-rate issue that has been, I think it's been sort of an ongoing type thing. If it's okay with y'all, I'll actually call Sean Britt up and sort of give you a reiteration of that conversation that y'all had at the work session, and then we will, at your discretion, ask for approval on the payment of the funds that's actually that was put on your desk or at your seat tonight from the invoice. So, Sean, if you'll come up.
Madam Chair, members of the board, and Mr. Dundee, thank you. As Mr. Dundee had mentioned, I had spoke with you guys, I think it was in our January work session, about our wide area network contract. We have submitted the appeal for our application to receive those funds. We're waiting on that appeal. In the meantime, we had discussed with our provider about the payment for the first 6 months of the school year. And they had sent us invoices for that amount for January, February, and March. Also, at the time, we had received funding from my state technology funds, along with some of our local funds, but which would cover some of the costs of the balance that was given to us. But what we would need from the board, given the amount and also the potential to have to use fund balance, is action on your behalf to pay for the first 6 months that we've been invoiced for until we can get E-rate to decide on the appeal. We're waiting on the appeal.
We really have to pay until we get a resolution from USAC. We don't have a choice.
And that's the first installment, what we see right here.
Yes, ma'am. That's for the first 6 months of the school year.
Okay.
All right. They have foregone at least charges for the last 6 months. Hopefully, their fiscal year runs a little different than our fiscal year. Their fiscal year, the company we get the services from, ended in December. So for their purposes, they've got to show proof of payment at least from July to the end of December. And that's why we were billed for those 6 months.
And Madam Chair, on the invoice that's laid at your seat tonight, the provider agreed to do 3 installments at that amount. That was to be paid in January, February, and March. Without your approval, I didn't feel comfortable with actually paying those amounts without the board actually having a motion and a second on that. So as we're presenting to you tonight, it would be the total amount on that invoice because it was actually due on March 1st, which is today.
Okay, board members, what's been presented to us by Mr. Sean Britt and Mr. Dudney is to pay this total amount then that you see here on your paper. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion that we pay the vendor.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Graves, second by Ms. Poplin. Any discussion? Yes?
When can we expect, or can we expect, an answer on the E-rate?
I've looked in the portal like almost every other day that we submit the application through.
Yes, sir.
It's still in review. I looked at the other ones, all across the country. You can see other entities who've submitted for appeals for various things. And I've noticed there's been a few around the same time frame that we submitted ours back in December that have moved beyond review. So it's my hope that, we're in line, but again, we're at the mercy of, this is a federal funded program. So, I mean, it's,
We just don't know.
we don't, to be, the honest answer, I don't have a time frame as of yet, no.
Thank you, sir.
What kind of service is this company
When you're-
providing?
it
Are
is,
they doing a good job?
Yes, they do a very good job. Our internet is provided through a partnership with the state. They bring internet to our door, which is at the data center over here. This company built out the wide area network, the fiber lines that connect all of our sites from our data center. So that's the service they provide. And the cost of what's here is the cost of that service and the capital bill that went in to do that project 2 years ago. It's our internet between our schools is what it is.
Any further questions?
Presently, we have roughly, as Sean mentioned, we do have some state funds that we can apply against this, but majority of it would be out of your local fund balance. So that's really the importance.
All right, we've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Okay, this is passed.
Thank you,
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Next on your agenda, Superintendent Comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since we got a closed session, I'll be brief. I did enjoy going to 3 of the 4 National Technical Honor Society inductions this past week, well, Monday and the week prior. I hate I missed the other one, but it was just great to see those students and what they had achieved, what they had accomplished, how well-spoken, of course, they were as they conduct their own induction ceremony. They did a great job, very polished. It's just great to be able to get out and see, what our kids can do and what they can accomplish, and it was a great treat. This past month, I've been going around meeting with our principals, seeing some of the great things that are going on with our schools. I know some of you guys, too, have been visiting schools, and I know they really, as far as the administration, teachers, like seeing people in their schools, and they like being able to demonstrate, what they're doing and what they're teaching and how they're helping to bring their students up, against the learning loss back to where they should be. And I was seeing some data, some preliminary already data from some of our elementary teachers, and they're showing some good growth and doing some good things. So that was great to see. We had the riding or Love the Bus month last month, and I had the opportunity to ride one of the buses at Richfield, and just to get to go around made me 2 little friends in the front seat, asked me questions the whole time, and I know all their families' names and what they ate for breakfast. But it was really good getting out to getting to ride the bus around and seeing what our bus drivers do each and every day. The last thing is just you had mentioned earlier with the teacher working survey. It started today, and it will go through the entire month. So again, we'll be encouraging our teachers to take the survey so that we can get data to better improve our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dennis. Board member comments. I believe I'll start with Dr. Leffler.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to just go on with the CTE that Dr. Dennis is talking about. I was privileged to go to all the recognitions that we had at all the schools, and it's unbelievable if you've never been in there to see what they're offering. They've got auto mechanics, they've got fire safety, preliminary to being a fireman, they've got nursing, they've got masonry, they've got business, they've got manufacturing. I mean, it's unbelievable to see these students. You got this machine over here that's very technical, and those students learn how to put those machines together, how to make them. It's really unbelievable. We have a great program, and hopefully it'll continue to expand, because that's where most of our education is going to be in the 21st century. We've got to have all this done. HVAC, auto mechanics, everything, masonry. I mean, it's really good. And we're fortunate to have great dynamic people that are teaching these courses. They don't have to be doing it. They could be out working in the private sector and doing a lot better financially. These people love to teach the students and love to be involved. And it's really good. Then I'd like to also congratulate the 2 teachers that got awards. That's excellent. And then the 2 athletes that got the awards. That's excellent also. In the last month or so, I've visited quite a few of the schools, and we really don't understand all the good things that are going on. All we hear about from the board most of the time is, quote, the bad things, but our teachers and students and parents and community, they're doing a great job in this community, and we just need to keep it up. And I'm pleased with what's going on with our community, with our schools, and we've got to do a lot better, but our teachers and administration and everybody's doing an excellent job.
Thank you, Dr. Leffler. Mr. Graves?
Thank you. Yeah, I was able to attend the last at Albemarle, the awards ceremony, and I just want to second what Dr. Leffler and also what Mr. Sorensen, who taught CTE classes here at Stanley County Schools. It's really impressive to see the students. Over the weekend, I had my water, the well went out. And I could tell you right now, there was a helper for the guy that came out and replaced the pump and all that. He was a high school student. I'm sure he made more on that Sunday than all of his friends combined made in a week. So there are plenty of jobs out there that are very well-paying jobs. And I'm glad that we have such a strong program. Director Mandy Melton doing a phenomenal job, and all of the teachers. I mean, this is real. It's as real as it gets. And without these students involved and doing really well in these programs, we'd all be in trouble in the years to come. So I wanted to congratulate them. I want to say one other thing too. I was able to go to the prayer at the flagpole rally. Was it Friday morning? Was it? Lord, I don't even know what day it is. Was it yesterday? Lord. It was Monday. It was yesterday morning. I know what time it was. It was 7 a.m. and it was 31 degrees. And we were standing out by this flagpole. And I wanted to thank a community member who's been very involved with Albemarle High School, Albemarle schools in general, the city of Albemarle, Mr. Sean Baldwin. And I also want to thank Ms. Melissa Smith, who was there. I want to thank Tanya Crisco, the principal, and we had a couple other folks that were teachers there and faculty at Albemarle High School. We had parents, we had students, we had other community members. There was someone I was going to point out that unfortunately she left. But we had a good crowd show up after about the first 10 minutes, and it was fantastic. And Pastor Michael Scott of New Direction Church, I want to thank him for coming up because he's from Norwood, and I know he's been very involved with Albemarle, and he lifted up Albemarle High School, the faculty, the staff, the parents, the students, the businesses, the entire city with an amazing prayer. And that's, prayer works. And it was exciting to see the enthusiasm of the students that came up. And I want to point one other thing out. If you ever get a chance, for those of you that don't live in Albemarle and don't know Melissa Smith, as I said earlier, she loves her students. I was standing outside with her as the students were coming up. Most of these students she had in elementary school, now they're in high school. And as soon as they saw her face, their faces lit up. Because if you've ever walked around any of the board members with her when she was at Central, she always is encouraging the students, telling them they're loved, they look fantastic, their hair looks great, and just incredible words of encouragement. And I was sitting out there thinking to myself and seeing the smiles on the kids' faces. And when they got out of the cars, they didn't have smiles on their faces. When they saw her But man, I was like thinking if we could encourage kids every single day when they got out of the car or off the bus, when they come into school, and I know a lot of teachers do, and I know a lot of the principals do it at schools, but it can have a tremendous difference. You could just tell those kids were going to have a better day by all the other people that were there holding signs, encouraging them as well. So I'm excited for Albemarle High School. I know a lot of people are working really hard to make it a top school. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to all those folks that were there to help out the other day. And this will probably be a bi-monthly occurrence, and maybe we can do it at other schools too in next school year. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. Mr. Lisk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will build on what Dr. Leffler said, in that I have visited about half of the schools so far. We have others on the schedule. But as a board member, and me being the newest board member, it's really helped to get boots on the ground information, to see what's going on in the schools, to see where our needs are at. And the response has been great, not only from administrators, but from teachers. I've heard very good things about our county office staff, including Dr. Amy Blake Lewis. Also have addressed where we need to help these folks. I had the opportunity to ride 2 school buses, spoke with Mr. Storenson, to the bus drivers on the southern end. And we're really, I think, as a board, being very active in the community. And I think it's helping us to make better decisions. In doing so, part of those visits have been with Mr. Todd Bauer, so I'd love to give him some congratulations and a big shout out. He works very hard for this system. He knows every facility inside and out. We've been working very diligently to plan for the future for this school system. And the running joke, I think I forgot to mention a second ago on visiting the schools, that if you go with Dr. Dennis, they're not going to tell you anything. But if you go without Dr. Dennis, you're going to get the real info. So it's gone well. I'll end on this, that being on the finance committee and finance as a career, our county office support staff and our finance staff has worked very hard, particularly over the last few months as we dealt with COVID and quarantines. But cranking out the bonuses, I think for February, for all of our staff, a lot were working remotely. They're working on bare skeletons. I think sometimes, even as a board member walking in, you just see the tops of the cubicles. We don't give them enough credit, but they deserve all the credit that we give everyone else. They work very hard. They work very long hours. I came out earlier, and we still had folks sitting in there. So just from my heart, I want to say thank you. I know how hard that is, and education is a tough business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lisk. Mr. Sorensen?
I noticed a little apprehension every time you call my name, Ms. Chairman. I'm going to start my comments off. I'm not going to give a long dissertation like I usually do. I like to talk by saying something I haven't said since the 70s. Man, you ain't killing my buzz today. Okay. We get up here and we have to do a lot of things, but tonight's celebrations, I'm going to put those in just a little bit of perspective as someone that's sort of kind of been there but hasn't. A state champion in wrestling is an incredible achievement. If you've never been to the state tournament, that kid walked through a tunnel with about 10,000 people in the stands, went out there and pinned that other kid. And it's just an amazing, amazing feat. State champion indoor track. National Federation of High Schools says 1 out of 500 high school kids ever becomes a state champion. Most of those kids are on teams. So when we see these individuals like these two tonight and our South Stanley tennis champion from earlier in the year, man, you're feeding my soul. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. That's the kind of stuff I just live for. VFW State Teacher of the Year. I know a little bit about that competition. I was a district winner, and that's as far as I could go. Okay? The fact that that young lady made it all the way and won the state is very significant, and what it really does is it gives us old veteran folks, us old military folks, hope for the future, because that's what that's really based on. Can't say enough about our NCCATT Prudential finalists. I've been out there to her new facility several times, and it's just an amazing thing. Something that hasn't been mentioned tonight, all 4 of our traditional high schools had Skills USA regional winners this past week. I was in the business for 28 years, never saw that. So our CTE people are just knocking it out of the ballpark. Dr. Dennis mentioned the NTHS, National Technical Honor Society inductions. Over 100 Stanley County Schools kids, over 100, were inducted into the Honor Society for career and tech ed. Never seen that in 28 years. So I'm telling you, you can't steal my buzz tonight, guys. It's just there. And then finally, I got to do 2 reading situations, one with Aquadale 4th graders. I finally figured out what my problem is, Glenda. I'm on the same level of maturity as those kids. We got along great. And then just the other day, I went to East Albemarle and read to the 1st graders. I can be a real boisterous, noisy idiot sometimes, but I want y'all to know those kids are worth fighting for. So that's my comment. You're not going to kill my buzz tonight, because just so many great things happen at South Stanley and Stanley County Schools, West Stanley, North Stanley, Albemarle, and the elementary schools. Thank you.
I agree with you. Thank you, Mr. Sorensen. Ms. Watson.
I'd like to echo everything everyone said. I'm really proud of all the honors we had tonight. We had the pleasure of going to some of the ball games. Our North Stanley and Albemarle High School played. And Amara Baldwin, she is a winner, I'm telling you. She really knows how to play ball, and she's a freshman. Let's see. The 2 ladies that got the honors, I appreciate those too, because it's hard sometimes to teach and do things like this, but they really want to do it, and they know what they're doing it for. I also would like to thank Mandy Melton for all she does for CTE. I also went to those National Technical Honor Society commencements, and it's amazing to see some students. This one guy at Albemarle yesterday, I said, "Oh, you sure do look handsome." He had on a suit. He looked really, really good. But you know, you have to tell these students they're winners. They really are. They're all winners. You know, sometimes I think I don't know if it's not negative things that they get, but sometimes, you know, we don't know what they're going through the night before. So we have to do that for our children. But I think the county office, for all the work that they do really hard things. They really get with it. They know what they're doing. And I really would like to thank Ms. Hope Miller for all she does for us. She takes care of us, and we appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Ms. Poplin.
I also would like to start out with thanking the 3 athletes that were here tonight. Amari, if you haven't seen her play, just try to keep up with her. She's really fast. And Ranfrey, we had the privilege of actually running into him at the restaurant, and the conversation with that young man, just a genuine, well-rounded kid, spoke very modestly about his win at the state championship for wrestling. So it was really neat to hear him talk about his experience there. James Shue, so exciting that he's going to be heading off to Catawba. Want to say I did not get the privilege of riding a bus. I was a little bit sad about that. I've done that in the past. I actually somewhat enjoy that. I was not able to attend that. I did get to make it to the CTE recognition at Albemarle High School. I was not able to make some of the others. One of the only ones up here that have kids, minus Dr. Dennis, that have, got Dustin up here now. He's got a few, in the evening. So my kids' social schedules have interfered with the CTE recognition, so I was not able to make all those. But I want to congratulate Keely Town for the VFW K-5 Teacher of the Year, and Casey Thompson for her Teacher of the Year finalist for the NC Beginning Teacher. I've heard wonderful things about what she's doing with the agriculture program at South Stanley High School. I'm just also really glad that our students are now able to remove their mask on the bus. That was wonderful. And I too want to thank the county office for all the hard work they've been putting in. I would like to thank Mr. Bowers for taking us around and showing us the facilities, and I don't think we walked into a single facility without him getting his little arm tugged on, and he was like, hey, I'll be back in a second. So I think he stays pretty busy in working on our buildings. And I too appreciate Ms. Hope for all of her help and guidance with that policy committee. If it wasn't for her, I'm not sure I'd be where I am with that. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Gonna let me talk, Anthony?
Are you giving me more time?
No. I'm just going to echo everything that
I'll yield my time to the chairperson.
hush, hush, that everyone has said. Congratulations to all the wonderful athletes, their coaches, their schools, parents, and then our two teachers as well. Huge congratulations to them. Carl and I participated last week in a virtual board officers academy. That was very interesting, and this Friday we're going to be attending a virtual law conference. I think the most pleasure I've had in a long time is because I get back into my element, and that was reading to classes, reading across America. So I love being the Lorax. There's just something about the Lorax and even the book. So I was a mouse one week with the mouse ears and the mouse tail that I couldn't find for a while because I think some child stepped on it. But anyway, and then, you know, just reading, I've been to Aquadale and Richfield and East Albemarle and Oakburr and Millingport, and now I'm going to get to go to West Stanley Middle. I love middle school. They're my favorites. We'll see what they do at the Lorax, but anyway. Like all of you, we've attended ball games, we've cheered on our teams, we visited our schools. I rode with Dr. Dennis. Our bus driver was Miss Terry Cruz. I do have to tell you that Dr. Dennis, these little girls were digging in their pocketbooks because it must have been shortly after Valentine's, I think, because they were finding little Valentine candy to give him. Here, I want you to have this, and I want you to have this one. And they were asking him, what's your mama's name? What's your daddy's name? What's your grandpa's name? Do you have a sister? Is that your shoe? What size shoe do you have? What is in your pocket? What do you do at school? I mean, it was just like, and I just sat there. I wish I had recorded the whole conversation. And he answered every single question with ease and patience, and just loved it. You know, it brings me to this. I am so very proud of Stanley County Schools. I know all of you are up here. I'm proud of our superintendent. I'm proud of our board members. We love Hope. I'm proud of our county office staff, all of you sitting at the back, our SROs that are here all the time, those of you that come and sit here in attendance and sit here as we go through trying to bring our recognitions and thank yous to everyone. Thank you for those of you that stay. I know it's a long time for you to sit there and stay, but thank you for coming. I appreciate you being here at our board meetings. With that being said, board members, I would like to entertain a motion for us to return to closed session for personnel matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A6, student matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A1, attorney-client matters, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3. May I have a motion to return to closed session?
I make a motion we return to closed session.
Motion by Ms. Poplin, a second. Second by Ms. Watson, all in favor? Aye, opposed, no. And for those of you sitting here, our next regularly scheduled board meeting will be Tuesday, August the 5th. April the 5th. Wow, I am really wanting summer to pass by. That's terrible, isn't it? That is terrible. April the 5th, 2022 in the G. McIntyre room at 7 p.m. Thank you. Okay, board members, I'd like to call us back into open session. At this time, it is the personnel agenda. I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Dennis.
I make a motion to approve Section 2 of the personnel agenda.
Okay, we need a motion to approve Section 2.
I make a motion we approve Section 2 of the personnel agenda.
A motion by Ms. Poplin, a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Lisk. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That has carried. I need a motion to adjourn. Second.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. We are adjourned.